And yeah, we're fortunate today to have with us Vice Mayor, Commissioner of District 2. No secrets, thrown his name in the hat to be mayor of Mount Juliet. And taking time out of your day, Vice Mayor, to join us and give us our weekly update. And we'll save some time for some Q&A, but always great to see you. Good morning, James.
Good morning, Mark, and thanks for having me on here. It's been an interesting last week here with the city. I think we've had a historic city commission meeting. Historic for not necessarily a good reason, but everyone I've talked to, it's the first time that we can remember not having a quorum and actually having the meeting called and being there. So not historic in a good way there, but unfortunately, as a result, probably one of the shortest meetings, about 30 seconds long. I know my phone was blowing up after the meeting ended. It's like, are you guys not going to televise it, or are you trying to hide a vote, or what's going on? So I spent a lot of time that evening responding back to people to let them know that we did have a meeting. It lasted about 30 seconds, and since we didn't have a quorum, we had to cancel it. Good in the sense that I got an early dinner that night, but very bad in the sense that some important business has been pushed away another couple of weeks, and I think really important and critical to the path and the future of Mount Juliet. So that said, I just a couple of things to highlight are one of the things that's passed in the budget was an assistant fire chief position to add back to the guys that were cut out of last year's budget. And you know what, that position is so important. We've seen a reduction since of losing our volunteer coordinator out of last year's budget. We've lost about half of our volunteers as a result of that. You know, to replace those bodies with full-time employees would be somewhere in north of $500,000 to replace that amount of labor that we've lost since then. So getting that position back in there is a key component to the taxpayers of Mount Juliet. Pushed out. Now, of course, it was added in the budget that was put in a few weeks ago. The one that we passed was put in there, but the restriction was put on it that the person had to be hired internally. Now, unfortunately, I mean, that's a good thing to promote from within, but as the fire chief said, he doesn't have anybody in-house that's qualified to fill that position, but the requirement was put on it just the same. So I had an ordinance on there to undo that requirement so that position can be opened up and actually filled. It would be more than just a position on paper at that point. It could actually be a body serving and protecting the city. So that's one thing, got pushed out another couple of weeks. I guess the good news internally, if somebody wants to apply, they got 2 more weeks to do it. But the bad news is it's 2 weeks more. The citizens of Mount Juliet are lacking that position there. Other thing that we got pushed off was, of course, the vote on Providence Central. The vote on Cawthon Farms was also pushed away. So we'll reconvene on the 27th, a week from today, and hold those votes again. That's kind of a quick snapshot on what's happened with the last city commission meeting.
James, let me ask you real quick the way it works at the city commission, because I don't remember ever having seen a meeting canceled with 3 people that couldn't show up. I was probably one of those that tried to tune in and was trying every device I had and was not getting it and thought it was on my end. They might just put something up simple. The next time meeting, you know, there may not be a next time, but how did all that just come up suddenly, or did somebody know ahead of time that there wasn't going to be a quorum, or do you really not know there's not going to be a quorum until the public hearing at 6:15?
Well, to be clear, we've had meetings in the past where we knew there wouldn't be a quorum present, and we just put public notice out there that there won't be a quorum, no need for everybody to come out. So that's happened before. This is the first time I know of that we've had a meeting where me or someone is sitting up there at the table looking around, looking at your watch going, only 2 of us. That's the first time I know that's happened. I knew one commissioner was gonna be out, and I think one had maybe some family issues, and I'm not really certain about all the reasons why, but you know, people that serve on the board, just like everybody else, have family emergencies and things come up. So sure, we know what happens. This is the first time, though, I can remember getting to the table at least and having to explain to everybody we're not going to have a meeting. Yeah, so I mean, honestly, Mark, perhaps we could have put something out. The meeting was no quorum there, but honestly, it's a bridge that we've never crossed before. So it's a learning opportunity for us, and hopefully, it's not a learning opportunity we ever get to put into action.
Well, the good news is the items that were going to be discussed, I'm assuming, are still going to be on the agenda the next time. And while we might have to wait 2 weeks to get a vote, it does give people that are for or against whatever the opportunity to advocate how they feel best for 2 more weeks. So we'll hope for a full contingency or at least a quorum on the 2 weeks from a week from tonight on the 27th. So
Yeah.
The building permits, business licenses, I think everybody can kind of agree there's still a lot of activity. The Amazon building is, it seems like it's changing by the hour down there and just continues to grow. And it's quite a feat of engineering if you haven't been down there to see all the steel work on there. And then you might share with us what you know about what might be happening over here with the apartments. There's new retail going up in front of the Vintage Station North. And then, of course, they make progress every day on the amazing Christmas place.
Yeah, both those projects are all go as far as I know. Mr. Martin's on here, and he may want to interject if he knows something different. But as far as I know, those projects are full on. The apartments over there, the mixed use project that you're referring to, those things are just coming together quickly, and you know, they couldn't get the brick on those things quick enough. I mean, it just looks so much better. That intersection every time you pull up there is really enhanced by the look of what's going on there. And to think, you know, that was an opportunity for the city to really drop the ball there on that one. It was zoned industrial. It had been a vacant lot for a long time, and this was really an opportunity, one of those boats that really changed the downtown look of Mount Juliet forever on this thing, and just put a stamp on that. And by bringing that down there, there's no telling what in the future that's going to lead to on the next. You referenced the commercial retail pad out there. It's part of that project too. I've noticed they've started construction on that. It'll be interesting to see who gets recruited and what we have offered out of there. But it's just another enhancement, another opportunity for Mount Juliet to keep growing. Positive growth in the right direction there. Of course, the Christmas place is moving ahead. I don't think it's going to move as fast as we want it to. I don't believe they have any plans to meet this Christmas season, but it's my understanding that by 2021 we'll see them open as well, and that lines with the target there for Amazon as well, with a 2021 opening on that project as well. And like you said, it's just amazing to see the progress that they're making on that. When they come before the Board of Commissioners and the timeline that they gave us that they wanted to have this open with, the commitments that they had made to Amazon to have the project done, and I was just like, well, this will be interesting to see, and it really has been. The speed at which they've tore into this project, it's remarkable. And I mean, I wish we as a city could put up new roads as quickly as that, but you know, it's the difference between building on private property and going through a public right of way and some of the restrictions that result around that. But you know, they're doing a wonderful job, and I think we're going to see some big opportunities that result as what we're seeing develop now as coming into Mount Juliet down the downtown area as a result of what we're seeing coming in there with Station North or North Station.
A little closer to home in your district, representing Willoughby Station, road improvements at the intersection, where at the entrance and exit to Willoughby Station coming soon off of South Green Hill Road.
That's correct. That's I believe that talking to the engineers, slated to get started in late spring of 2021 on that as well. And that is so critical too for this. And now we see with the Town Center Trail opening up, starting to see just a ton of traffic with the trail not even open yet. Pedestrian traffic, bike traffic from in and out of that neighborhood going down to the trail. Just got some recommendations over from our Public Works Department as kind of some temporary fixes that we can put up some signage and perhaps reduce the speed limit through there, just as a result of the increased traffic. And that trail hasn't even opened yet, so it's definitely going to be popular. And what I'm referring to, and Mark's talking about the entrance there, it's some safety improvements that we've been talking about for several years there to try to get in place there on that neighborhood. It's become very problematic. There's a little curve, a dip, it's in a hill. It's kind of a blind at times when you're turning out of it. I've been one of those where you can just lose a car in that little dip through there, and it's a false sense of security. I mean, over the years I've learned when there's a car in front of you, you just got to wait and they'll blind it. They'll blind that car, block it where you can't see it when they come around that curve. And I've just learned to wait. And now I have a 15-year-old daughter going through there, and I was like, you wait, you let that car get down the road. You can't see it coming sometimes in that curve. So that, and we had studies done by the police department too. And, it was rated as, well above average for the number of accidents there at that intersection. So Andy Barlow and the whole public works team has done a lot of work there to get that public hearings. I know our former public works director Jessica Gord sat in on some of those meetings as well with the residents there and getting the feedback on it. So it's been a long process, but one thing it's going to lead to as well is some sidewalk connections from the neighborhood entrance, Mount Vernon as well, down to that town center trail, get that pedestrian traffic off the streets through there. So again, big enhancements through the area.
The train station, for those of you that don't go by very often, again, right across the tracks from Vintage Station North, they are making hay. They probably put a timeline together thinking they'd be working around the normal overflowed parking lot and everything, and quite the opposite. There's very few cars over there with train riders now, so they are really getting after it and maybe making up for some lost days with the rain. I know Kenny's here. We might indulge him for a minute. Folks love to know about the new businesses coming in, and we've got them from Lebanon Road, Mount Juliet Road, Paddocks, Providence. Kenny, if I didn't catch you off guard, can you run down the laundry list of new businesses?
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to speak to about the Vice Mayor's comments. He's spot on. A lot of the vision the city and the staff, and of course our community and our elected bodies had for years has finally come to fruition downtown. If you all remember, not too many years ago, we didn't really have, I guess you'd say, a downtown. You sort of knew you were going through the center of town, but you didn't really have a downtown. And I think that's starting to come about now with the clock tower and the train station, Vintage Station North, and Christmas store. And of course, I see Miss Phyllis on here, what they did with Robson Crossing and Robson Park. You sort of know now you're coming into a downtown district, and I think that'll continue to get better going forward. As far as new businesses, oddly enough, I do have some really good news to report this morning. Unless the numbers end up changing later, we probably had our third highest sales tax increase in the history of the city of Mount Juliet. Came in about $400,000 over last year's numbers. That makes up for the last 2 months that we were actually down. Everybody's hustling, all the work that everybody's putting in with shopping at these businesses is good news, and I hope that I don't say all this and then come to find out later that some numbers got misappropriated. But so far, it looks really good. Excited about that. It shows that maybe a lot of people are staying home and shopping, doing some upgrades to their homes and their backyards, maybe buying new cars, things of that nature. So that was really, really good news. It shows that the efforts of the city and the citizens and the Chamber of Commerce here is making a difference in our community. That is a breath of fresh air this morning, to be honest with you. And I want to thank our elected body and our staff and citizens for everything they do to try to shop local and encourage people to shop local. I think the efforts we're putting in, especially during a pandemic and a tornado, is making a tremendous difference. So with all that said, sometimes even the smallest of businesses that don't necessarily have the big wow factors, some of the big things like Amazon and your shopping centers and things of that nature of the past, these developments like the one that Ms. Gore, who I see on here this morning, is involved in out on Golden Bear, Legacy Point, I believe it's called. Those things make a tremendous difference and they transform an area. So we're getting a lot of interest out on Golden Bear, as everybody knows. We still have a high-end car dealer that's continuing to look. They're moving through the approval process through corporate. ML Rose, which is a new restaurant, they will be locating in the Logan's restaurant. That building's about 9 to 9,500 square feet, and they'll be taking about, I want to say, 6,500 square feet of that space. And we already have a couple other tenants that are interested in the other part of the building. What's exciting about that, if you've had a chance to look at their website, if you walked in the front door, they would take the kitchen area and everything to the right. So if you remember going in, there was a jukebox in Logan's, and you look at that back wall, they take everything from that section over to the right where the fireplace and all was. So that's exciting. And of course, everybody knows about Hibachi Junior. There's another little restaurant called Jersey Oven that's going in the paddocks. I don't know if where the Subway used to be in that location, which that's exciting. They're in the build out phase now. A lot of the equipment that was in that building they can utilize with their build out. There's also a supply house that sells beauty supplies, things of that nature, to salons, if you can think of that, that will also be going in the paddocks. Of course, everybody knows about the daycare there. They also know about the daycare over by Jackson Hills, the $3 general stores. Everybody's excited about that. The Taco Bell. Unfortunately, it looks like we are going to lose the Chuck E. Cheese, but that's not uncommon for Mount Juliet. We already have some people looking at that building, including a furniture store. So sometimes when one thing goes out, something else new comes in. And unfortunately, the pandemic and the COVID is what ends up being the, I guess you'd say, the do all end all for Chuck E. Cheese. So I'll stop there for a minute, so in case anybody's got questions about some other businesses.
Good stuff. Thank you.
Yeah, it's sales tax numbers are really exciting. That just shows that that everybody's efforts are paying off.
Anybody got any questions? We'll have Kenny on here next week and get maybe a little bit more in detail, but questions for the mayor? I will point out, for those of you that are listening, if you haven't checked out the city's website under their GIS, they have a link called the Project Tracker, Project Development Tracker. Fantastic resource for you to look in. It's got just a map of Mount Juliet, little dots numbered. Click on the number, the elevations come up, tells you where it's at in the process, where it's located. There's sometimes just a little bit more detail, but staff at the city does a really good job of keeping that up to date. And I think it's something that you'd find pretty useful, especially with so much happening from one end of town to the other. So also, if you ever want to know what's going to be on a meeting agenda that James was talking about, whether it's the Planning Commission, the beer board, or a city commission meeting, they have the agendas available online several days ahead of time that you can look at it. Their contact information for all of your elected officials is very easy. And so I'm hoping that you'll take time to tune into this on a Monday, that you're somewhat interested in projects, where they're at, a little bit more information on the meeting packets. I hope you'll contact your elected officials and share your thoughts at the appropriate time. So, James, anything else? I know that this is an important time, not for personally for the city elections, but Mount Juliet has, between Gladeville and then out off of Saundersville Road and Charlie Daniels Park, we have 3 places where people that live in Wilson County, no matter where you live, you can vote. Early voting started last Friday, I think. Great. They've had 2 days under their belt.
Mark, I'd just say it's an important time for the city, the county, the whole area. And I just encourage people, don't give up on the vision of the city of Mount Juliet. And you know, I say that I go to some meetings and sometimes you get some negative feedback about the way growth is and infrastructure catching up. To me, that's just part of us completing our vision, is for what we see as this city. And we're close to getting to where I think I think we need to be in terms of getting that full circle in there with what we've always been talking about, that long-term goal of the white-collar jobs and having those inside the city, and the way that just helps support our local businesses that are there, creating that lunch crowd, creating that extra traffic. Folks like me that, in a non-pandemic world, that are commuting to Franklin on a daily basis because that's where our jobs are, giving people like that the opportunity to stay here and attract really well, high-paying quality jobs into Mount Juliet. And we definitely have some, but just attracting them on the same, getting on that level to compete with the other communities around us for those type of jobs, for those type of businesses, for the headquarters and the things that are coming here. And these votes that are coming up on the agenda, while sometimes uncomfortable for politicians, which every one of us has to be there, so it's what it is. But, while uncomfortable sometimes, and there's a lot of debate in the community on those, these things are so important to the future of our city and where we go. And I think we're kind of at a crossroads right now, is where you're starting to see some pushback on some things as far as infrastructure needs to be here and who's paying for what. But really, I just encourage everybody, don't give up on the vision of Mount Juliet. What you see happening out there, the progress that's going, let's keep pushing on that thing. And, there was a lot of opportunities to go backwards or curl up and just kind of feel sorry for ourselves during the COVID and the pandemic. But, the city has taken the approach that we're going to keep pushing ahead on a lot of projects. And I know you as business owners have taken the same thing. It's been difficult. It's been a hard fight, hit first on the chin by the tornado and the disruption there. But now it's time to double down and push through it and get to that vision that we want to see as a city, and see where we want to be long-term, and keep piling on till we get to that point, and, just be steadfast in that. But one other thing I'd like to add is, just stepping back, last week we had a Parks Board meeting, and of course they had some recommendations for some parks land, which I think is important as well for providing that opportunity to attract people into our community on that. And just trying to keep up, and it's another thing there, was keeping up with growth. And the city is underserved in terms of acreage, it's comparable to other cities by population. So we got some things in the works with the Parks Department that are going to attract, and it just makes it a more livable city, that we can attract people into it, that will get the quality of people. I think Commissioner Mullally is going to be bringing something on the next agenda to that. So stay tuned. I mean, there's just awesome things happening in Mount Juliet, and I've never been more proud to live in this community and do my little part to serve it. And like Mark also said, early voting started Friday. It's going to be going on for another couple of weeks. You can get out there on Saturday. They're open between 8 and 1. Cast your vote. Shamelessly, I'll add, I'll be on the next election. You can check out my website. It's jamesmanesse.com, or if that's too hard, you can just go to electjames.com. But there's a spot on there where you can volunteer, ask for yard signs, a donation, no matter how small, it helps. There's also an opportunity to just write a small endorsement on that thing. I appreciate all your support. And of course, if you live in the city, I'm going to take the opportunity to ask for your vote on November 3rd and your support along the way. And Mark, again, thank you for everything the chamber does, the opportunity to get on this call and just have these conversations and find out what's going on in our community.
Well, we're happy to do it. You've served us well for many years, and look forward to even bigger and better things in the future. One thing we do try to do is educate folks, or give them the opportunity to learn a little bit more. We have people with the newspaper. I see Congressman Rose's field director, Ray Render, is extremely loyal and accessible to our programs. He hardly misses one, and we're blessed, again, as I've said many times, to have access to so many people that are out there working on our behalf. And anything we can do to help facilitate that, help put people in touch with those that can help solve their problems or satisfy their need, we're happy to do that. Hope all of you will join us again on Wednesday for Wilson Wednesday. Folks, you have all played an important part in helping us make these programs successful. This is a challenging time when you're in the business of communicating and connecting and sharing information, to not be able to do that in person. Each of you's adapted well to Zoom meetings. We have buy-in with our elected officials and city leaders, and we're grateful for that. And we also ask at the same time for you to continue with that support too, and share with us the good and the bad and the ugly. If there's something we need to do different, we're here to serve you. We are stepping up our game. When you take the politics out of it, Mayor Hutto, Wilson County Mayor, that his mask requirement mandate, I want to make sure I get that right. I would suggest you read it very, very carefully, because he clearly gives us an opportunity when you're 6 feet apart is the goal. If you get inside of 6 feet, please do the responsible thing he's asking. And maybe with a little luck, we can knock that down a little bit and get Mount Juliet, Wilson County back open even better than it is right now. So I'll check real quick and see. Marla, any questions for anybody real quick?
I don't think so. I think we're good.
If not, I hope y'all know how much we really do appreciate you. Thanks for sticking with us during times. We're here to help you. Be sure to let us know, and this video will be available online in our website. Click on the special meetings tab on the first one, and you can go back and look at all the school board candidates. And James, Ray, your time's coming up soon. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for helping make this successful. Hope you all have a blessed day. Go out and make a difference today.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.